Hello, it's me, and I'm going to go through my approach to this interesting little puzzle here. This is the Wormhole puzzle. There's actually three different types that are out there. This is the Wormhole I. The Wormhole I means that all the sides pretty much look alike. And you can see, although maybe you can't see, but there's different colors inside here. This is that wormhole that you look through. And again, it's not clear to me if you can see that or not. But here, there's the red, there's the green, there's the white. So it would appear at first glance that when you move this, this is actually moving along with it. Okay, I added some light here because I'm really not sure if you could see this or not. But in any case, if you notice as I turn this, like so, this middle, all these wormhole areas in the middle here, are turning with it. So you've got these outer edges and these inner edges. As you look at the side here, what's interesting is that in some cases, the inner wormhole oh, there we go. Okay, I added some light here because maybe you can see the wormhole better this way as I shine some light into here. So you can see that as I turn the puzzle, the wormhole centers are moving with it. When I look at it at the side, you can see that the wormholes seem to be moving with it as well. So at first blush, it just looks like this is an inside of this edge, and it really goes the same way. But if you then notice that if I turn this part here, same kind of thing, it's moving just fine. It's moving the same way that a 3x3 would move. If I move this layer here, something strange happens. You can see that I'm actually pulling the wormholes from these two centers, these two edges, up to here. So some of them do that, where you're pulling the edges up, and others are not. So down here you can see that I'm pulling the edges also. So it would appear that with this, some of these are fused to the corners down here, and some of them are not. So this one isn't, this one isn't. As I move around, this one isn't also. So that is going to make the solve a little more complex, just because of that process. And you can see that this one does. The wormholes seem to be moving with it, although they follow it at the top. So what does all this mean? What does all this come from? Well, it would appear as I'm moving this, that this edge, well, there's actually a puzzle inside this puzzle. So you've got the core that has that moves like a 3x3, but some of them are kind of fused together. So as I move this over here, you can see that this moves independently, so that's not fused in the center. This moves independently, so that's not fused in the center, but this is fused. So if I move this up here, somewhere along the lines, this top part is taking this top edge and these edges with it. This is all fused together. When I move this down here, this is fused. When I move this, this is not fused. So that tells me the fusion is somewhere perhaps over here. So if I move it down here, this is fused, this is fused, this is not fused. Move it over here, not fused, fused, and fused. So it would appear that wherever I go with this edge, wherever this edge goes, it drags the lower edges with it. None of the other corners do that. So if I move this, this moves, but that's only because it's attached with this. But if I isolate this corner, no matter what I do, it doesn't move, it's not fused over here. So it would appear that this corner marks the point at which these are all fused over here. The other thing to notice is that when I move a center piece, none of these edges follow with it. So I can move centers anywhere, and it does not change these wormhole centers, these wormhole edges. So these middle slices don't change the wormhole slices. So that's going to be important as well. So when you think about it, if this corner fuses all of these edges together, then that means this is all fused together. It's almost like it's, well, if these are all kind of fused together, it moves exactly like this guy over here, which is a conjoined puzzle. This is by Smaz, and I actually have a tutorial on how to solve this, which I would recommend looking at if you've not done a conjoined or a fused cube before. But basically, I only have three faces that I can turn. I can turn the front face, the right face, and the up face, and that's it. I can't turn the left face, I can't turn the down face, and I can't turn the back face. And it's the same thing with this guy over here. Well, so too, if we're going to say that this corner represents the area of the inside that's fused, then the center piece over here, although it's not fused, the outer edges and corners aren't fused, the inner one is fused just the way a conjoined puzzle is. Not a Siamese. A Siamese looks a little different. This is a conjoined. So if I were to say that this edge, this corner marks that juxtaposition, then all of this here on the outside represents where another puzzle would have been conjoined with this. So this is fused over here. So the solve is pretty much the same way, that as long as I hold this to the back, just like this is held to the back, then this move here is equivalent to this move. The top move here are equivalent, and then the right move here is equivalent, just like this. But I can't do a bottom move because you can see it's fused, and I can't do a left move. You can see that's fused, and I can't do a back move. You can see that's fused as well. So now I know the restrictions and I know how to solve it. The question is, how do I do the inner fused conjoined puzzle with the outer puzzle? How do I reduce that? So the first step to do is to find out which ones is the fused area. So which section of the inner puzzle is fused, and we figured out it was this one. It might be different in your particular puzzle, but this is the fused part. This is the part that's conjoined, so to speak. So that's going to be important because as long as I move this, this, and this, I'm going to move the inner wormhole pieces with the outer edges as well. So with that said, and also bear in mind that I can move this move here, and I'm not going to move the center wormhole edges. So let's go ahead and scramble this guy. Enough talk, enough deliberation. And now as I'm scrambling it, I'm actually scrambling both puzzles. I'm scrambling the outer puzzle the way I would normally scramble it with complete freedom of motion, but I'm also scrambling the inner puzzle in the way that I would a conjoined puzzle, a conjoined cube, or a fused 3x3. Alright, now we're hopelessly scrambled. So the challenge of this puzzle is putting the inner puzzle with the outer puzzle. How are we going to do that? And how can I do that without any new algorithms? Well, the only new algorithm is what I used for this conjoined puzzle. Aside from that, there isn't anything new, but you are going to have to know that just by the limitations. Okay, so there you have it. Perfectly scrambled, and now what are we going to do about it? Okay, so I hope I don't have too much of a shadow effect here if it's not bothering your eyes. So what I'm going to do is let's find that corner that really took the fusion of the middle part. Even if you didn't figure it out, what you can do is find the corner where the inner portions, the inner colors match. So here's a green, two greens, white, two whites, orange, two oranges. You'll find that none of the other corners fit like that. So yellow, nope, nope. So that's how I can tell which one is the conjoined side. So this corner matches with this conjoined area over here. So what I'm going to do, the first part of what I'm going to do, is I'm going to start building this area here. I'm going to build all this in the way I would have the area of a conjoined puzzle or a fused puzzle. So that means what I'm going to do first, well, let's find it again, is I'm going to match the centers. So this orange, and find the orange center, right over there. Bang, orange center. This is the green center, boom, green, this is the white. So once you found your conjoined center, that conjoined corner area, and again, you can do it even after you scramble it because it's going to be the only corner that has the wormhole sides completely matched. Now that you have that, go ahead and put in these edges. So white and green, let's find the white and green, and that is right over here. So I want to move this into here. I'll do it by way of a sliding U technique. So move it up from the middle, turn it to the left, up on the left. Slide it back to the middle, down in the middle, back to the left, down in the left, move it in. Now, it doesn't matter what I do, no matter how I move this corner around, it's always going to match with these. And no matter what I do with these edges, it's not going to take the wormhole portions out. So you can just solve this with reckless abandon. So green and orange. Green and orange right over here. So I would just put it in. Now, what you could do is you could just move this in, and you may say, oh no, I'd move this corner out. Don't worry about it. Just put it in. You're not going to mess anything up. Do it in with your R idea RD any way you want. You popped it in, and you're going to find that it's not going to change these guys. Okay, lastly, this one, this edge, this is a white and orange, which is right here. So same thing, move it in, slide it to the right, up on the right, down in the middle, and pop it in. Okay, so what you have is this whole section is done. The wormhole areas are in, the colors match, edges are in, and the centers are in, all surrounding this corner. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move this to the left and to the back, because then that's going to give me the form of this over here, where I can move the front face, the up face, and the right face. And it's not going to change any of these wormhole areas. So the way that I solve a conjoined puzzle, because that's pretty much what it is, imagine there's another puzzle attached to this, is we're going to get the bottom layer. Going to get the bottom layer first. These edges will already be in. So the first thing I'm going to put in is I'm going to put in the inner edges here. So I'm going to look for the red and green on the inner side. So the red and green is here. So I'm going to move this up, move it in so that the red is matched up. This is the green, and just go splat. So this red and green is in. Now that I've done that, what I can do is I can immediately put in the outer edge. Now you can solve it any way you want. You can put in the inner edges first and then reduce the outer edges. I just find it easier to do it this way. So where's the outer red and green? Outer red and green is right over here. So just move it up. I can move this any way I want. I'm not going to change the wormhole parts. Now I got to move this down. So I want to angle this to where green will come down to here where the green is. This red will come down to here. And the way that it's going to work is I'm going to bump this out of the way. Now remember, I can move the center, this slice up. It's not going to change the wormhole position. So when I move this up, like so, you can see my wormhole did not change. So all I need to do is move this in place and move this down. So now this red is matched up with here, this green is matched up with here, so this is fully reduced. Don't worry about the corners yet. So I usually do that next. So now we just have to put this guy in. So I'm going to find the yellow and green, which is right here. And I'm just going to move this into place. Bang, splat. Oh, I accidentally moved a wormhole aspect of it. Don't want to do that. So we'll move this down, move this in, and move this up. Okay? So now this is in. Now that I have that, let's reduce the outer edge. So I'm going to look for the outer yellow and green, which is right over here. So I want to move this up, let's get it out of the way. Now same kind of thing. I'm just going to move it down the same way. Now from time to time, you may find that it looks like this. Now normally what I do is I just double turn and I move it in, but I'm going to take the wormhole part out. So I've got to do the whole thing where I move it out of the way, I move the slice up and then move it in, but the problem is it's going to be upside down. This yellow will end up here, this green will end up here. If that's the case, I've got to flip this upside down. To do that, put it in the front. Again, this is the front with this fused part in the back. And just flip this by the algorithm that causes edge permutation, or orientation rather. That's F R U R I U I F I. That'll put this upside down where it needs to be. So bump it out of the way, move this slice up, move this in position, bump it down. So now you're going to find these are all in and they're reduced with the wormhole parts. Now I can put the corners in with complete reckless abandon because I don't have to worry about anything. I'm not going to move these out. As long as I have this unmoved, I'm not going to take any of these wormholes out. So red, green, and white. that's going to actually come here, so I simply roll it in like so. So that's in. This one belongs here. So again, as long as I'm not moving this, I'm not taking anything out. So I just roll it in the way that you would roll any corner in. So I'm assuming that you understand beginner's method. This needs to come into here. It is there, but it's upside down. So roll it up, and then just keep putting it in the way you'd put a corner in. So now you can see that my first layer is done and it's completely reduced. Okay, now the excitement continues. We're going to go ahead and put in these edges here, here, and here. Now what you could do, my recommendation is go ahead and reduce them and then put them in. So reduce the outers with the inners and then put it in. So how am I going to do that? Well, red and white. Where's red and white? The inner red and white, it's right over here. So I could easily place this down to here, but let's get the outer red and white, which is right over here. So I want to take this and reduce it to this. So how am I going to do that? Well, I'm going to make use of the fact that I can do this move and it doesn't affect my wormhole edges. So I'm going to take this and move it opposite here. If I do that, if this ends up here, this red will match this red over here. So I'm going to use the Sunni, which holds this exactly where it is and rotates these guys around. That's R, U, R, I, U, R, to U, R, I. Okay, so, and I keep doing that until this is opposite what you have here. This outer edge is opposite the inner. R, U, R, I, U, R, to U, R, I. Now if this were upside down, I would simply move it in a position up in front where I do F, R, U, R, I, U, F, I, but I don't want to flip this, so this will have to end up over here. So we'll see if there's an opportunity to do that. But in a very basic way, what I'm going to do is I'm going to simply take this and place the slice into here. So as you can see, this is now reduced. Now we brought this one up, right? So I want to move this out of the way to bring this back down. Now this is a yellow and orange over here. Yeah, okay. So I'm going to move this over here. Now I want to get this out of the way, but I don't want to mess this one up because I want to move it back down, but it'll disrupt these, which isn't in. So the way that I would do that is I have to move this away from directly opposite this guy. So I want this to be in front of me, 1, 2. Do the Sunni again, which will move this out of the way, then move this back so I can turn it back. So once again, what I did is I simply move this in to reduce it, do a 2U to put this one in front of me because I don't want this one to change position in relation to its area, its center basically. And let's go ahead and do the Sunni. R, U, R, I, U, R, 2U, R, I. You only have to do it once. It'll move this reduced edge out of the way, double turn this back, and I simply move this back. In that way, I did not disrupt this, and I have this guy reduced. Now that it's reduced, I can move both of these en bloc to here. The way that this is going to happen is if you need to move this to here, I can't do the normal beginner's technique because it's fused. Every time I move this, I'm going to disrupt my wormhole area, so I can't do that. I have an alternative way of doing that, which just uses this move and this move, R move and U move, and won't use any of these fused moves. So to move the right-sided version from here down to here, I do R, 2U, RI, U, R, 2U, RI, 2U, R, UI, RI. And that will not disrupt the edge and will pop this in, so you can see this is reduced. So let's do that again with this guy over here. So where's the red and yellow? Red and yellow is right over here. I like it in this direction. Now, I can't pop it in here. Well, yeah. I don't know that I like this direction here, because this is my fused area. Yeah, okay, no, this is fine. This can pop into here. Yeah, it can really be anywhere. Okay, so this I want to match up with the red and yellow here. Now, to do that, this once again has to move opposite. This yellow will be here and will fold into here. So we're going to hold this still, do the SUNY until this is rotated here. This will stay the same, this internal piece and this external piece. So RU, RIU, R2U, RI. So now you can see this is in position. I simply move it down. Now this is reduced. This was brought up from down here, and I don't want to disrupt that, but I want to move this away from here. So double turn. Now do the SUNY again to move this away from here so I can move it back. RU, RIU, R2U, RI. Okay? Now take this, move it back, and I can very comfortably move all of this back down out of the way of this. So now this is completely reduced. Now this is going to be folded into here by that same algorithm. So I'm going to move the wormhole edge and the outer edge. R2U, RIU, R2U, RI, 2U, R, UI, R. Alright, so now this is done. Okay, now that I have this in, I can set it up here. Remember to stay away from here. Now this will pop into here now that it's reduced. So this is the L-sided version, so that's going to be Li, 2U, L, UI, Li, 2U, L, 2U, L, Li rather, U, Li. Pops that in. Okay, so you have safely got the entire second layer. So let's be sure we have here now for the last layer. So it's not as hard as you may think, but it does take positioning and strategy if we want to avoid doing new algorithms. So what I'm going to do is start matching things up. Here's the blue and white. Here's the blue and white over here. I'm going to take this, move this opposite here, because this white will end up here. So R, U, RIU, R2U, RI. So this will come over to here. And the technique's going to be the same. Move this slice down so that this is reduced. Now I've got to move this out of the way. Now I can do some pre-planning here too. This is red and blue. Oh, well, the red and blue won't be able to make it. So I'm just going to move this in here. Now I want to move this down, but I got to move this away from being across from here. So go 1, 2, and just do the SUNY again to move this away from here. R, U, RIU, R, 2U, RI. Double turn it back. So now this, which was reduced, stays here. This will safely move down and nobody gets hurt. So this is fine. So now I'm going to look for other opportunities. Here's the blue and yellow over here. This is upside down because if I move this over here, this yellow will end up over here. So I'm going to take this and I'd like to move this to here. And if I do my FRU, RIUI, FI, this will stay the same. This is going to rotate. So FRU, RIUI, FI. So sure enough, this is now rotated. So I'm going to move this yellow and blue wormhole portion and take this outer portion and move it to here. RU, RIU, R2U, RI. Now if you didn't know, whatever I put here in that SUNY algorithm stays exactly put. So now same thing. This will move into here. Now this is reduced. So I want to move it back. I want to move this away from here, but I want to move this one across because this is already reduced. So 1, 2. So now I want to move the one that's not reduced yet right across from it, which is this guy. This has to move to here. This will stay the same. RU, RIU, R, 2U, RI. Not this one because it's reduced. I can't have this across from here. Do it again. RI. Okay, so now I'm going to double turn this. This is protected. This is protected. I simply move this down and bang. Okay. So now we have an issue because these are where they need to be. They're just flipped. And this is flipped. This is probably the hardest situation that you're going to come up with in this last step because we have to unflippify this. So how are we going to do that? Well, the first thing to do is let's get these away from these centers here. So I'm going to move this down here. Okay. Now, notice I've moved this. Okay, so I'm going to move this over here. Now this one doesn't really belong, up here. But it doesn't matter what we do with this. I just don't want to flip this over. I want to flip this over. These, it really doesn't matter. So what I'm going to do, and again, I don't want to flip this over. I'm going to move this to here. I got to get this away from here and move this here or here. I don't care what happens with these in terms of flipping, they're already reduced, but I got to flip this guy over here. So what I'm going to do is either I can move this over here and do a Sunni. I'm just going to keep it here. What's going to happen is this will slide here with the first Sunni, then we'll flip with the second Sunni. This is like your line. So if you're with your beginner's method, F, R, U, R, I, U, I, F, I. So this is exactly where it is. This slid to here. Do it one more time to flip this over. These are our reduced pieces. We don't really care. F, R, U, R, I, U, I, F, I. Okay. So with that said, this has been flipped. So I'm going to move this across from here. So I'm going to move this in front of me and do the Sunni until this is over here. R, U, R, I, U, R, to U, R, I. Okay. So with that said, I'm going to move this back, and we're going to move this back over here. Now watch what's going to happen. This blue and yellow is going to match up with this, rather orange. This orange and blue is going to match, so I'm going to go splat. And what that did is that effectively turned this around. So this is matched with its wormhole center, and now this is matched as well. So again, you know, look closely at what I did, but basically what I had to do is flip that, and because there's no parity problems with this puzzle, it'll just kind of fix itself. So now I just do the last step with the last layer. So this is my L formation. Do your beginner's method strategy of rotating these edges. Now they're completely reduced. So you don't have to worry about anything. You solve it the same way as here. F, U, R, U, I, R, I, F, I. That's an alternative to get all these flipped up. So these are all flipped. And now we've got to rotate the corners up. To rotate the corners, I can't do the same beginner's algorithm, so I'm going to continue with the Sunni. What you're going to do is you're going to find the ones that are flipped wrong and find the color that's facing you. So you don't do this one because the right color, the top color is not facing you. This top color is. And so the one that's flipped wrong, get it to where the top color is facing you on the right side and do the Sunni. R, U, R, I, U, R, to U, R, I. When you see this configuration, once again, the top color that's facing you, R, U, R, I, U, R, to U, R, I. You see this configuration where only one is flipped. Again, point the one that's with the color facing you towards you. If you don't find it, then it's going to be here. So it's the one right next to the corner that's flipped right. It's the one that has the color that's facing you right next to it. Now I can't move it in this direction, so I have to bring it around here to move my left. So notice this isn't going to change it. So this is the anti-Sunni. Because I can't move my R's, I got to move my L's. So the anti-Sunni is going to be, this is facing me, L-I, U-I, L-U-I, L-I, to U, L. And you're going to find all this is flipped correctly. Now, I got colossally lucky because all these edges are in, but they didn't have to be. Could have looked like this. Could have looked like this, where you've got 2 in and 2 out. So I love to orchestrate a corner swap, but I can't, because to do a corner swap, I've got to move like this. But I can't do that, it's going to mess up my wormholes here. So I have to do what's called the T-perm. A T-perm is the same thing as a corner swap. It'll swap these two and swap these two. Okay, so to flip these two, you're going to do R-U, R-I, U-I, R-I, F, R. R, U, I, R, I, U, I, R, U, R, I, F, I. And that will, in essence, flip these two. So that's always going to work. And now it's a matter of just doing the algorithms to flip these guys here. Okay, so now we're just going to go ahead and get our corners, our edges back in. 2R, 2U, 2R, 2U, 2R, 2U. And now fix these. 2RU, 2RU, 2R, 2U, 2R, 2U, 2RU, 2RUI, 2R, move it in, and it's done. So a nice, interesting solve experience, a very solid solve experience, as once you've recognized that this is the same form as the conjoined twin puzzle, the process of reducing and joining the wormhole edges and the outer edges is actually a lot of fun. Takes a little bit of doing, especially at the last layer. If you have any other questions with this, because like I say, I don't know that I can go through every possible scenario, just familiarize yourself with the beginner's technique, familiarize yourself with the solve of this. I'll point to a tutorial that might go into more detail, and just understand some of the ins and outs of reducing this. But definitely a worthwhile puzzle, fun puzzle to solve, moves very nicely. Thanks for watching.